it's a bummer being diagnosed with cancer. It's tough. And I think it's, as both Polly and John have said, you know, this sort of treatments and the kindness from staff at the jail and the Nuffield have been astonishing. In most cases, there was one oncologist that I sacked in the end. I don't know if you're familiar with Harry Potter. There's a character in there called Dolores Umbridge, played by Mel Staunton. And this oncologist was like Dolores. And I wrote letters complaining and have changed to a delightful oncologist. I don't know if you two want to add anything to that. Thank
you. From my own experiences, I think you start to notice the signs of what's coming next, and often it's not such a surprise. It's just a confirmation of what you know already. But the professional spirit of most of the people that I've met have been absolutely fantastic, and I've got no complaints. So it's positive.
Last question, yes. An advocate of Maggie's Centre, where you are treated as a human being and you may have cancer, but you're helped to approach it in a human way. Any other comments or questions? Because I can... Oh, yes, Dave.
What is the title of the Henry Marsh book?
What is the title?
Henry Marsh.
Professor Henry Marsh, he wrote a book called Do No Harm. And it's a really good title, and it's called that because Henry Marsh keeps talking about why people, talk about complicated things. He says they say rocket scientists or brain surgeons. And Henry Marsh's point of view is that he thinks brain surgery is simple because in most cases you do nothing because the primary objective is to do no harm. So that's the title.
Do you think it's helpful to be given an indication, which is actually really wrong in cases?
You've all lived well beyond your allotted time that was given to you at diagnosis. Do you think it's helpful to give people an estimated time of arrival?
I do think it's very difficult for the medical profession because everyone is different, and so sometimes what they're giving you really is the average of all the cases they see. I suppose they could explain that, but I don't think there's really much else they can do than fire from the hip, and I find that quite helpful actually.
a very difficult question, because it's difficult for the oncologist and it's difficult for those listening. And in my case, there have been some misunderstandings. I think because the oncologist doesn't actually know either exactly what's going to happen. My particular pills are so new that they have no statistics really to follow. And I can see it's difficult for them, but I desperately at times I'd like to know how much hope I've got that it'll continue. But I'm still here and longer than I anticipated. And really I can't answer the question, but it's an answer of sorts anyway.
Yes.
Jack, what sort of comfort is there in solidarity among fellow patients? For example, is it important that people have the same sort of cancer as you, or is there a general community of people who are in the same condition and you perhaps inappropriate were fighting the same problems?
What use is solidarity in suffering? With like-minded or like sufferers, or with others?
I think it's a very good question. As I said earlier, I didn't want to see anybody else with cancer. I didn't want to go to Maggie's drop-in centre because I thought it was going to be grim and boxes of tissues but I was wrong. And when Andrew invited me to join or to lead this talk, he met, as I said, a bit like my load. So I think I was wrong about Maggie's drop-in centre. It's probably very helpful, but it's only when you're ready. As John said himself, it said, actually, most of us remarkably jolly. While I was worried about no one would come to a talk like this, because I thought it was going to be, people could perceive it as grim. But I hope we've proven it isn't, so I sort of agree.
Just a small comment, but it does seem to be that this talk today from us and for everyone gathered here, I think it's an example that you can get a lot of good out of meeting others, but I feel rather like Tom that if I see someone with a box sitting with a box, if I see someone sitting with a box of hankies beside them, I'll run a mile more than want to talk about cancer. It's just, I think it's a personal way of fighting, is to be yourself and enjoy yourself, and a sort of creativity that has come from us talking together, because we didn't know each other before, but we have had some laughs, and I think it's good. It can be some good, but I don't really want to go where I get pulled down by other people. It's a sort of selfishness, I suppose, but it doesn't help me.
Just as an observer, I think the answer is that there is a process. And the first part of the process is often where you isolate yourself. And in a way you need to be dug out of that, gently. And then you come to a place where you can share. And when you can share, then the load is lightened. But I think it is definitely a process which needs to be looked at with love. Question: how much has your faith influenced your attitude?
Well, I suppose like many members of the church here know, my faith goes up and down. But it's mainly like a kind of immediate course. And it tends to go up while I'm taking part in the service, and down when I'm not. So I find it a good thing to go to church and services on a regular basis. I find that really does help a very great deal.
That's a good question. Andrew is sort of helping me reconnect with my faith. But I always say at Leonard Bass, my youngest stepson, is 13, and said, "Which church do you go to, Tom?" And I said, "Oh, one of my main churches is the Rosary Crown in North Devon. And my vicar is Mr. Andrew Hall." So there's two Andrews who are both counseling me on faith. They both have an important in my life. Thank you.
There is a North Parade connection between the three of them. But I would say one of the comments I'd make on this is I love this church, this building of the church. And the reason why I love it is because it's wonky. Nothing is perfect. Nothing is straight. It takes all sorts. And that to me is what faith is about. I wish people would understand that faith and the church is not about being perfect. It's about life. And life in all its richness, all its problems, all its quirkiness. And if you can see it in that way, I think faith helps wherever you are. But if you think it's all about perfection, gosh, it's a hard road.
Yeah.
Any other? Yes, Karen.
I don't know about anyone else, but I find it very...
It's nice to talk about it, though, if that's an answer.
Can I just comment on listen, share, expect to be surprised. If you think you know the answers, you're wrong.
I was curious as to while the body lets one down. Seems I was curious as to whether, and there is a sense that the eternal soul that we have derives some spiritual benefit, or it becomes sharper or more interesting than it used to be when we were perfectly healthy.
Absolutely, and that's why, my two anglers counsel with me. Most of us, I think, rush through life like the cutting train in a way, and how much do we absorb or notice or properly think about things? What I think cancer is just stops you in the tracks, and you have to reevaluate and re-look at certain things like faith, like what is important, like love, what is the fundamentals about life. Whereas until that time, we're all just too busy to sort of properly ponder on probably the most important questions in our lives.
Can I be honest, I can't hear the question.
The question is about has the spiritual increased depth of understanding about faith perhaps because of this cancer?
I think, actually, I mentioned when I was talking earlier that spirituality has become more personal and stronger, and I don't question things so much, I just accept it. And then it doesn't become such a problem somehow. You can live with once you've accepted it. That's right.
May I make a comment? I believe that the big problem of our age is arrogance. And I think that the big gift of old age, of our older age, is